Hey y'all, coming to you from the international headquarters of ScottieDTV, but I was at the 2018 NSRA Street Rod Nationals, and my buddies at Classic Restorations of Southern Indiana had a 1950 Dodge Wayfarer. Now, I don't even know if I'd ever seen one of these cars before, but I can tell you that Dustin and the boys, they built some cool customs, but where they really shine is on these restorations where they take them back to just the way they were, a little bit nicer, over restored, I guess. But you know, as far as putting chalk marks and the wiring's right and all that kind of stuff, they just do an awesome job, and they did a great job on this 50 Dodge Wayfarer. I think y'all gonna like it. Let me get the camera turned around and we'll take a quick look at it. Dustin, thanks for giving me some time today to tell me about this Dodge.
Yeah, no problem, Scotty. Anytime for you.
What is it?
It is a 1950 Dodge Wayfarer two-door sedan.
Wayfarer? I don't think I've ever heard of a Wayfarer.
Most people haven't. It was, we'll say, the bottom end of the Dodge line back in 1950, so it was your poor man's Dodge, we'll say.
You know, the thing is, your customs are cool, but like I've told you before, restoration is where you've got it nailed, man.
Thank you.
I can't imagine this car will look anything this good when it came out.
Nope, it never did. It's definitely restored well beyond what the factory ever produced, but that's the way we like to do them.
What color is it?
It is actually the factory color. It's called La Plata Blue, kind of a blue-gray color, no metallic in it, you know, kind of the, I guess it's a drab color they had back in the 50s, you know, and them colors are coming back, so It fits the car perfectly.
Isn't that funny? Because you're right, flats are coming, satins and all are coming back. Those like earth tone colors are hot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pastels.
Now, normally, you know, we would talk about body mods and things like that, but today I'd rather talk to you about what's the process of taking one of these back to original like this? How do you know what was original and how it was supposed to be?
Well, it all starts during the teardown process. When we disassemble one, we are very due diligent, and we bag and label every little part that comes apart. We basically document everything that comes off, any bolts that break or anything like that. That way we know from the get-go, you know, if we need certain fasteners and stuff like that. And as we are stripping and blasting these parts, we try to be careful at first to see what colors were there. You know, a lot of stuff's covered up with grease and grime over the years, and it actually preserves the original paint underneath all that. Being careful when you take it apart and tear it down. This car here, being that it was original family owned, I should say, we knew most of the history on it. We did uncover there was an accident. It got rear-ended at one point in time in its life. We had to find some new parts for it to repair it properly. And then other than that, you know, you trust the old Google, and you do your research and try to find pictures and try to find original ones, you know, to go off of. So
man, it's got to be a heck of a process, especially something like a Dodge, like Chevrolet. Okay, that's tough, but there's a ton of them out there.
Exactly, and that's what I found doing this one. You know, it was a 1 year only, one model only, so a lot of the parts were very difficult to find. Non-existent for the most part. You know, I found some good sources online that led me to several salvage yards across the country. And luckily I was able to find a couple. I give credit to AMS Obsolete down in Atlanta, Georgia area. They have a ton of NOS Dodge and Chrysler parts. They've basically bought out old dealerships over the years, and they just have pretty much, if you can't find it through them, you're not going to find it. They bailed me out on a bunch of pieces on this car.
And then I guess worst case, you fabricate it yourself?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, a lot of the floor pans and stuff that had rust in them, we had to make it from scratch. There was no buying a replacement panel and cut it out and put it in. It was cut it out, try to make a pattern from the original the best you could, and make a whole new piece.
Brother, like I said, man, every time I see you with a restoration, it's like I get as excited about it as a custom because I know it's taking me back to 1950 or whatever, and I can look at it and go, that's exactly how it was. Exactly. You know, as silly as it seems, because some of the stuff, technology's old, and it's like, that was dangerous, you know, but they did it, you know?
Yep. And that was funny, when the car come in, it had what I would call the perfect patina on the outside of it. And we really tried to talk the owner into updating the drivetrain and the chassis and stuff, you know, going with maybe a modern Hemi or something like that, so he could really get out and drive and enjoy it. Being that his great-grandfather bought it brand new off the showroom floor, he wasn't having it. He wanted it right back to original, so that's what we did. I mean, we did upgrade a few things. It is now 12 volt. We got rid of the old 6 volt system just to make it easier to start and things. Radial tires. We got rid of the old bi-supply tube tires. just so he can drive and enjoy it a little more. But pretty much other than that, it's all back to the way it was factory, actually a little better.
So this car's been in the same family since day one?
Since day one, yes. The great-grandfather bought it off the showroom floor here in Louisville, Kentucky area, and it has been in this area its entire life. So now the great-grandson owns it. He commissioned us to do the restoration on it. Without his father, who's still living, didn't know anything about it. It was their extra car when he was growing up as a kid. So in 1973, the rear axle locked up. He parked it at his one-bay garage in his house, and it sat there until 2008 when the son got it out, dug it out, and started to try to do some of the restoration work himself. Realized he was in over his head, and after a few years, he contacted us. We finally got him in after waiting a year or two on our waiting list. And we got him in and tore into it and got it all back to brand new. And this past Father's Day, he actually gave it back to his dad and surprised him.
How
the
cool
dad
is
had
that?
no clue or anything, so it was pretty awesome. There's plenty of video of it. Didn't get to partake in the festivities. We had some other things going on that weekend, but he did videotape it for us, and it definitely brought some tears to the eyes and stuff like that.
Sure, it makes you proud, right? Because it's better than
does.
the money or the work is at the end to know that you made somebody smile and change their day. It's
Exactly,
really cool.
exactly. And they were super excited. His dad and mom both are living and still with us, and they were just completely shocked. They just couldn't believe that it was the old Dodge,
Right.
all back to like new.
Yeah.
So it was.
Tell me about the transmission before we run too, because it's got an odd transmission.
Yes, it is. Dodge at the time was doing a lot of experimental things, and transmission was one of them. They had 3 different transmissions in 1950, and this particular one is called a fluid drive, and it is a cross between a manual and an automatic. So when you would pull up to a stop sign or a stoplight, you push the brake in just like an automatic. You don't have to push the clutch in or anything, and you can take off in any gear. Doesn't matter what gear. Obviously, if you're in 3rd gear, it's going to take off a little slower, but you can take off just like automatic. Now, whenever you get moving and you want to shift between the gears, that's when you have to use the clutch. And the whole marketing behind it was they were gearing it more towards women, because it was always hard to start and take off with a clutch on a hill and things, but it was easy to shift once you got moving. That was not a big deal. So that's kind of what they were gearing towards. And they also had what they called a gyromatic, which was a full automatic, but still had a clutch. And then, of course, they had the standard straight-up manual. So it's really no different than driving a standard manual. You get the extra luxury if you don't want to use the clutch when you pull up and stop, but for the most part, you just drive it like a normal 3-speed on the tree.
Right.
So,
man, what an awesome job, man. Like I said, you guys
Thank
hit them out of the park all the time, but I get extra excited when I know you're doing a restoration, because I know I'm going to be able to see what it was like back in whatever year.
Exactly. It's a time machine. Takes
Right on,
you
right on.
right back in time.
And if people are interested and want to follow what you're into, what's the best way to do that?
Well, we are on the different forms of social media. You can find us on Facebook or on Instagram. We're at Classic Restorations _SON. And then we also do have a website. It's classicrestorations-online.com. And you can follow us on there. We try to keep our Instagram and Facebook all up to date and current, so you can see what all we're working on, what we got going on in the shop at any time.
Awesome. Brother, again, thanks so much for some time today.
No problem, Scotty. Anytime for you.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks.
So there you go, from the 2018 NSRA Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky, and Classic Restorations of Southern Indiana. A 1950 Dodge Wayfarer. Much nicer than new. How cool is that? Like Dustin said, a time machine. Hope you all have enjoyed it. See ya! y'all, make sure you subscribe to this channel and visit ScottieDTV.com for an easy way to search the hundreds of videos I have posted. Either click the link in the description or the one at the end of this video.